Something I find interesting, which I didn't understand about women and their existence, is that they can't really escape men. And I don't mean that in the personal sense, as in your, surroundings that men aren't around you. Even if you are alone, you have been shaped from the earliest age to want a husband. So your existence and your future is predicated on a man. They teach women that they should act in a specific way so that a man can choose you, so that you can be desirable for men. Don't have any wrinkles because men don't like that. That's undesirable. And I read somewhere that women live with a man inside of their head, that women are their own voyagers. Women make sure that they don't act in a way that's unpleasant to men, even if there's no one around. Example, shaving your armpit hair. Why the fuck do you do that? You might say, I just do it because I was taught to do it. Who taught you? No, I think it's more desirable. For who? That's something you will do when no one's around. That's a conscious, unconscious choice you make. I say this because if you're a guy watching, understand that men dictate quite literally every single aspect of a woman's life. Every single aspect. The fact that she wants a husband isn't just some natural occurrence. Yeah, she would want love from another human being, but that human being doesn't necessarily need to be a man. But from the earliest age, if you are lesbian or bisexual, you still are taught to end up with men if you are a woman. Understand this perspective. When women say they hate men, understand it in the same way that you as a worker say you hate capitalism or that you hate capitalists, because you have the system of patriarchy which privileges men above women at the cost of women, and you have the system of capitalism which privileges capitalists at the cost of workers. I mean, it also exploits workers and oppress workers, but the same thing applies to patriarchy. What I'm trying to get at is that you as a worker cannot escape capitalism. You have to participate in the system. You have to eat, right? So capitalism forces you to participate within the system that exploits you in the same way that patriarchy forces women to participate in the same system which exploits them. Capitalism cannot exist without workers. Patriarchy cannot exist without women. So women have to participate in their own exploitation and oppression to be able to live in this society. They can't escape it. You as a worker, you can't escape capitalism. So when you as a worker say you fucking hate capitalists and capitalism, you understand why. So you must understand why women say that they hate men. Rape culture is more than just you blaming the victim for what happened to her. It's more than just, oh, men are out there raping women. No, no, no. It's about the societal norms which makes it acceptable for men to attack women in this way. Rape culture seeks to normalize the idea that the sexual assault that men are doing to women is okay. And the way which people do this is by asking the victim, what did you wear that day? Were you drinking? Why were you with them in the first place? What area of town? What were you doing in that area? You're taking all responsibility away from the person who made an active choice in attacking another person. Instead, you're blaming the victim for their choice in existing. And here's the crucial part, which starts it all in the first place. It's the dehumanization of women. It's the objectification of them. It's to not look at women as human beings. I can tell you from personal experience that the men who sexual assault women do not view them as human. They do not care about your personhood, what you like, don't like, your feelings, your emotions, how you will react, how this will affect you. They do not care. And it all starts at a very young age when you start looking at us. You start referring to women as if they are just a piece of meat. Men like other men because they objectify women. But as men, we don't talk about it as, hey, bro, I think it's cool they objectify women. That's not what you say. You say, I think it's cool that you've had sex with so many women. I think it's cool that you're getting all the pretty women. Women exist as something which gives you or other men more value. Their humanness is completely removed from you, at least from your point of view. So you might say, I am not a rapist, but you objectify them in the same way that the rapists do. And the road from just looking at ass to touching a woman because you just want to, because she's a piece of meat, is not far. I'll tell you. And how far do you think touching without consent is from doing whatever I want to you because I just don't care about you at all? That's rape culture. Why do people not care when women hit men, but only care when men hit women? Because the violence that women are subjugated to is a part of a larger system, a larger belief of male superiority, of women's inferiority. So a man striking a woman is a part of other men striking women because they are women. Why is that relevant? It's relevant because of the social position that women have in our society. Your violence against a woman, male violence against women, is not merely individual violence, it's a systemic violence as the system of patriarchy reinforces that men should be able to do this thing. It reinforces that men should be controlling women, and men control women by assaulting them, by keeping them in a state of fear. So when I make these jokes about women, I'm not just making a joke about her. I'm making a joke about all women as I am a player, as I am a product of a patriarchal system, and I'm reinforcing the same oppressive systems towards these women when I make these jokes. Correct. It's quite easy to blame the individual for what the system does, but you cannot take the person out of the system. And what the person does is a reinforcement of what the system wants them to do. To any guy out there who wants to have a girlfriend or wife in the future, I would tell you to just remember that the biggest danger to women in life are men. So once you get your friend or girlfriend or wife, I want you to remember their sexual assault or rape, to be specific, will go unpunished. For the most part, there will be little to no consequence if a man decides to sexually assault her. And that's something you have to think about, because can you imagine what it must be like to live your life knowing that fact? That the only thing that's stopping you from being assaulted is another man, and if he does assault you, the likeliness of you getting any form of justice is little to non-existent. Because when you want a girlfriend or wife or whatever it is that you want, you must remember that that's a human being. And you have to think about how they live their life, how society views them, and how they move around society. If you want to be the best possible partner for your partner, have a conversation with them about what life means to them or how they have to move life to be more safe. This also applies if your partner is black, if they're African, queer, as long as they aren't just like you, then they have to live a life that isn't just like yours. And if you don't want to understand the perspective that men are the biggest danger to these women, you should be nowhere with these women, my nigga. Because then your want to have a girlfriend or wife is to validate some part of yourself which feels insecure, that you aren't good enough to be loved or whatever. When I explain consent to younger brothers, I use the example of every person being a home rather than use the example of tea. I'm not only using it as an example because you have a physical body and you are on the inside controlling it, which makes you a home, but I also do it because it's more realistic. Let me ask you a question. Do you enter someone else's home without permission? You don't. You actually have to ask, and you walk in when you have been given permission. But when they reject you, do you stand outside and keep asking? Do you stand outside and tell them that they don't love you because they don't let you in? That they think you are ugly because they don't want to let you into their home? No, you don't. Do you stop asking to enter someone else's home just because you've been there before? Or just because you called them your girlfriend? You no longer have to ask now? Oh, and if you are on the inside and they ask you to leave, what do? You just leave. That's what you do in real life. And that is what you should do as well when you have sex. It's not your place. What you don't do is say, but I'm almost there. What? But you told me to. What? They told you to leave, my nigga. So you leave. When someone says that their home got broken into, like physical house property in real life, we can all understand the violence behind that action. Because that's what rape is. It's a traumatic and violent action. It doesn't really matter how long it lasts. The fact that it's done in the first place is the problem. You have people blaming themselves for another person's choosing to invade their space. You have them losing sleep, having nightmares about it happening again, making their body tense up, making their home try to be more secure just because someone else chose to attack them. And when it comes to sleeping, I just say, you don't enter someone else's home just because the lights are turned off and the door is open, do you? No, you do not. Because you and I both understand that that is not your place and you need the permission from them to enter, or else you are an intruder.